Happy Sunday everyone, and welcome to my vlog for the week of April 10th, 2023. Alright, so let's first start with the hyacinth. This came to me as a gift. April is Library Appreciation Month, and I work at my local library. I used to volunteer there also, so that's one of my favorite places. It's a community hub and I love it, love meeting people there. And so since I was one of the employees, I got given this as a gift, and we were treated to a lunch, and it smells so good. So I have it on my table, and I'm going to just move it past a little bit, and it just keeps making me happy. I do not know if it is starting to yellow a little bit. I have to read up on how to care for hyacinths in a pot, but I think I was talking about it last week about some of my favorite flowers, because I was drawing so many flowers for an upcoming show. So in that line, these are a couple of new paintings. It has been a very busy week, so I haven't had all that much studio time, but I was trying to do those more realistic looking flowers, and then I just wanted to do something different, and this is how this one turned out. Just I love the contrast of the bright on a dark background. And then of course I didn't want to just stay in fewer color zones, so I did this one, and I like them both. They are both kind of different vibe, but I like them both. So that is the progress I have on my canvases, and I'm going to set these two aside. And for the upcoming show, I painted for myself like a sign, because I made a table sign before, but not every place has so much table space where I can have the space for a little sign, so people know who they are talking to, what this is all about. So this one I made because it's a little hanging sign. I could hang it up near my canvases. So it's just, exploring different ideas. This is a new scene for me, and it's going to be a learning experience. So this is one of the things I made for that. And I cannot even show you, because I am standing next to the bed, and this is my table, and on the bed there are piles of canvases and show prep work and workshop prep work going on. So things are like, zoned out. Like, this is the zone for the workshop supplies that I am putting together. This is the zone for the finished paintings, which are then going back on the shelf where I can see them and see if anything stands out as weird, and then fix that and all of those things. And I do have a show coming up in November of this year, and obviously that is something I can do later. But when I was trying to do something, spring or summer did not the inspiration did not come in quite readily, but this did. So at this moment I would complete any canvas that is coming easily, even though it is not for does not serve my immediate need or whatever, but this came and I painted it, and I kind of like it. It's pretty simple. I did not take a million hours to do a painting. This came together pretty fast, and I kind of like it, even though it doesn't really help me for my spring and summer workshops, fairs and all that, but it will help down the line. And instead of pushing it away when that inspiration is coming through, I just chose to take action on it, and it is not gonna hurt. So last week I was talking about this paint and sip event invitation, and I'm supposed to teach, and I had been exploring various ideas as to what I can teach that is something that the students, the attendees, could go home feeling accomplished. It is not necessarily a fine art class, but it is something where it is more of a social nature. People come in, they chat with each other, they have an evening of fun, they sip whatever they want to sip, and they expect to go home with something they would be proud to show off. And that is kind of something I had been struggling to come up with, that I can successfully teach in 2 hours, or 2 to 3 hours max. Because for me, I wouldn't have the attention span to sit through that for more than 2 hours. 2 hours is enough. Beyond that, I would start to get antsy if I were a student. But I had been toying with various ideas, because I'm supposed to be doing one for children and one for adults. So for the children, I see all these slots. So I felt like a slot could be something that is on trend, and maybe teenagers might like to draw something like this. So this is one idea. And then I did one of these. This is more of the boho, botanical boho abstracts kind of thing. I like how they turned out. I cannot tell if this meets the standard. I don't want it to be over simple, and I do not want it to be overly complex. So I am not sure how to strike that balance yet. But the only way I'll know is when I do it. And I haven't reached that level. Sometimes I have to go through a lot of trial and error to come to something that is not only fun to do, but also easy to learn. I am not quite there yet, but those are the 2 pieces that I did for that. And who knows how else. And I'll show you a painting I'm working on right now that's on my other table. And yeah, this is just, I don't want to overwork it, because that is an issue. And I don't know, it's nothing yet. Hopefully it will be something, because I like sunflowers, and hopefully it will be usable for at least a show or something. So that has about been my week. Yes, so I'm still reading this book, and I love that the author Miriam Schulman, she talks about specific scenarios, if this is someone's objection, this could be a possible way of persuasion. And if to understand where the objection really lies, because sometimes a potential buyer may not really know what their real objection is. If they are there and they are taking the time to look at something, that they are expressing some kind of interest that is not just politeness, but they're not ready to buy, there are possible reasons. And she kind of gives examples of how to address that. And of course, no book can cover every scenario, but she gives examples of conversations, and that is helpful. I mean, this is, to me, as I'm like almost at the end. I'm on page 205, and the book is 232 pages. So I would say I am almost near the end. And I would say, it's a very good starting point to think thoughts that to keep a lot of the things in mind when creating, when even starting, when planning as to what you do. Because for me, I find myself, I'm not that big of a planner. So that is why I struggle to keep a bullet journal. And still, having a plan as to in terms of seasons, because these fairs happen. New Jersey is a fairly cold place, so whatever fairs are happening happen between spring and fall, and then it's again, everything is closed off. And of course, there is the online world that is open all the time, but there is a different kind of energy and vibrance to in-person events. And I love that because I love meeting people, hearing their stories, and sharing my stories with them. So basically, there is this community aspect to craft fairs that I really love. And to prepare for that, for me, I'm at the very beginning stages. I have done a random thing here and there. And I have sold at those events. So I can see that there is potential to that. I didn't sell off like everything that I took with me, but I sold more than I had expected because I went in not knowing what to expect. So that there is, with having done 2 shows in the past, one in 2019 and then everything closed down in 2020, and then I did one in 2022. So 2 shows. I have done more exhibitions than I have done shows, and I have sold at exhibitions as well. But the best for exhibitions that I find, what works best is what works best for me. The art that comes entirely from my heart and soul. Not something done with any kind of commercial intention. Why that may sound a little strange, because obviously I'm trying to sell the art, but still, it is not a themed thing. It is not necessarily a trendy thing, but it is very much from my own heart and soul. And I found that they spoke to people in a way that I didn't know that they might. But if this is going to be a thing, because, being a vendor at a craft fair or a marketplace, art marketplace, whatever, you have to have fixtures, display fixtures. Like you have to have display things and you have to make an application fee. So it is kind of a time commitment and an investment. And by time commitment, I do not mean just the day of the fair from morning to however long it is. It is a commitment of preparing for that, preparing everything for that. And kind of, if it is a spring marketplace, you are expected to have something that speaks to the current season and upcoming occasions such as Mother's Day. So keeping those in mind, like, if Mother's Day is coming up and I am going to walk through a local craft fair, I would want to pick something up for gifts. And am I making something that might speak to that? So this has a more commercial orientation. And this is all, my personal thinking that I'm sharing. I do not know if any of it has any validity, because I haven't had the opportunity to try it out in real life yet. But just reading through it, no matter whatever personal development, whether it has a business stance like this one or a spiritual thing like in some other books, like the Eckhart Tolle book I was reading earlier, it is you know, it is about stillness, and it is also about starting before you feel completely ready, prepared. It's just, you got to live through it and learn from it, is my understanding. I could be very wrong, I don't know. But this book came to me in a very timely manner. And I am taking that as a spiritual nudge to move forward in this direction, and to just, give it a try and see if it is something that is workable for me in all possible ways. Because the amount of investment of energy, physical energy into this, the time, all of those to take into consideration. And if at the end of the day, it was just I had a good time, or if this was a profitable thing, all of those things to be taken into account. And that is something that is going to come to me, for me, from my personal experience. Because there are people who don't like to do these things. There are people who only would show in galleries or only do art exhibitions. Some people who are happy to teach fun art and call them paint parties. And then there are some who would never do that, and they would only teach at a museum. And like, finding my place in all of this entire spectrum, and what brings me the most satisfaction, that is something I will only learn by doing. So other than that, like I said, it has been a busy week. I'm going to get my tracker and mark things off. So I have been having some at home. There were some plumbing things coming up. The pipes were making immense amount of noises, so we had to call the plumber. And the plumber came in and they changed whatever they needed to change. The kitchen faucet was leaking, so that had to be taken care of. And this part was not right, so a big part of my week went into just being present for the plumbers to do their work. I have no idea what they are doing, but I trust their judgment and expertise. And for me to just be present there so they can come in and do the work. And it's still not complete. The freezer part of my refrigerator is acting up, so we are going to have to address that. But despite all of that, I did carve out time. I did the best that I could in terms of reading, personal development, in terms of creative practice, in terms of preparing. So yes, on the 10th, all I did was the vlog. I don't recall if I did anything. Maybe I did something creative on that day. So I'm going to color that in. Sometimes, even in a span of a week, there has been so much mental chatter about what needs to be done and pulled in various directions that it feels like, did I do something? The memory isn't as sharp as I would like for it to be. On the 11th, yes. On the 12th, yes, that too. 13th was Thursday, so yes. 14th was Friday. I did. Actually, I have done work every day of the week in some way. Meditation. I didn't have time for meditation. When I tried to do meditation, I just fell asleep on the 10th. I was so tired. 11th, yes. 12th, I think 12th, yes. I haven't today yet. But, I'm going to give myself 16th as well, because I did finish the one of the paintings this morning. Yesterday I painted the hanging sign for my booth. Booth meaning it could be a table, it might have something. I don't know. I do not have all that. So I am slowly having to plan to what fixtures that there are some places who do not provide these things. I mean, any of the option, if they do have, some of them do have the option, okay, we are going to provide you with our display grid, a table, chair, whatever. But the additional cost is another $50. And when I did the research, okay, if I had to buy these fixtures, of course, when it is provided to you at the show, there are many benefits to it. Like, you do not have to load and unload it from your car. You do not have to drag it by yourself. When you bring it home, you do not have to store it. You didn't have to buy it. And all of those things that are plus. But at the end of the day, it might cost a $50 one time to buy a table. Maybe $200 one time to buy a grid to hang up canvases. So is it worthwhile in the long run to keep paying the venue and not knowing exactly what they're going to provide? Or is it better to have my own and then figure out the storing of it at home, figuring out the loading and unloading of it, like buying something that is sturdy enough to hold the canvases, but not so heavy that I'm a petite woman. For me to handle that, and this is my venture, I cannot always expect that, okay, you know what? The men in my family are going to pitch in and do this things, because they have the lives of their own. They didn't ask me to do this. So, and sometimes you get help, sometimes you don't get help. At the end of the day, you have to be able to be ready that if help is not available, that can I do it on my own? So I need fixtures and furniture, whatever, that I can handle on my own with my abilities. Like, being that level of self-reliant, I think a huge part of doing these fairs and doing anything for that matter really is a development of the things that I have usually avoided, like, oh my God, do I have to go and talk to somebody and ask them for an opportunity? Oh my God, do I have to tell somebody this is why I did it, hence it is worth buying? All the things that we are conditioned to feel uncomfortable about, getting more comfortable with those, becoming that much self-reliant that, okay, yes, even if nobody is able to help me on that day, am I able to pull it off by myself? That is a boost in confidence that is priceless. I do not know if I'm going to become a successful marketplace seller. I do not know if I'm going to become a successful artist. As of today, it is a journey of becoming self-reliant as much as possible. I'm not saying don't ask for help. I'm not talking to you, I'm also talking to myself. Ask for help, but know that help may or may not always be available. And when it is not, how far can I carry this on my own shoulders? So these are things, this is a process of growth for sure. Venturing into things I have never ventured into is not just a matter of a vocation or a profession. It is a matter of the person that I am becoming. And with that, having said that, I am going to wrap up for the day because I'm getting hungry. And I'm sure my daughter is too. Everybody else is doing their own thing today. And I am going to go and cook lunch. So hopefully I'll see you next Sunday. Until then, have a great week. Bye.